respected and honorable dignitaries on the dais, and eminent personalities of the dais. It's a great honor for me to be here as a discussant on the occasion of the special lecture by our own Professor K.N. Eliza, and a discussant, my colleague Dr. G. Narayanan, and the eminent members of the team of the authorities like Professor Murali Madhom and other members of the dais. The topic for us today is the Vedic Mahavakyas. The Vedic Mahavakyas, or simply Mahavakyas in the Upanishads, are mainly considered as of having 4 numbers. But actually, there are many other Mahavakyas also from the Upanishads. But we consider as 4 major key sentences or Mahavakyas, just like Prajnanam Brahma, Tattvamasi, Ayamatma Brahma, Aham Brahmasmi, etc. The term does not seem to occur in the major works of Shankaracharya, who probably assesses the Upanishadic utterances equally sacred and great. There are indeed many more Mahavakyas. For example, it's better to have a glance at the Encyclopedia of Indian Philosophies, Volume 3 by Carl H. Potter, page number 605. And when we go through the Mahavakyas, especially, for example, Tattvamasi, and how Shankara interprets this Mahavakya is very interesting. The great sayings, Mahavakyas, such as Aham Brahmasmi, Ayamatma Brahma, Tattvamasi, form the bedrock of Shankara Advaita. Of this, Tattvamasi is given the most prominent place. Much discussion arose in the Vedanta circles as to the precise connotation of Tattvamasi. The Mahavakya Tattvamasi occurs in the Chandogya Upanishad in the context of a dialogue between a sage called Uddalaga and his son Shvetaketu. Uddalaga is instructing Shvetaketu on the deepest truths of spiritual life. Uddalaga repeats the dictum Tattvamasi 9 times in the course of the instruction, each time with fresh illustration drawn from the nature itself. Shankara's interpretation of Tattvamasi as it occurs in his commentary on the Upanishadic passage may be summarized as follows. Tvam, thou art that. Tattvamasi refers to Shvetaketu, Uddalaga's son, the hearer, the thinker, the investigator of the truth, or we can say Shrota, Manta, Vijnata. The Tvam, or rather the internal self or soul of the Shvetaketu is nothing other than the Paramatman itself, Paradevata, that has entered Pravishta Shvetaketu. The Paramatman makes Shvetaketu living and luminous, intelligent. The truth is illustrated on the analogy of the sun reflecting itself in the clear water of a lake, and Tad is the eternal, unchanging Brahman, that is Paramatman, the Urgrund, as the Germans say, of all. That this Tat, that is the Paramatman himself existing here and now in Shvetaketu, apparently conditioned or restricted by his body, is Shvetaketu's internal Atman or soul. Shvetaketu could not grasp this truth, the truth that the Paramatman that exists in him as his Atman is no other than the eternal, unchanging Paramatman that forms the basis of all things. Before he was instructed by his father Uddalaka, but after being instructed by his father through means of various similes, Shvetaketu does not regard himself as an agent and enjoyer, that is Karta and Bhokta. On realizing that he is one with Brahman, the supreme reality, how can he cherish the idea of agentship, enjoyment, or difference? Now we come. Shankara affirms further that the sentence Tatvamasi should not be understood as one understands the sentence. The idol is Vishnu. For when it is stated that the statue of Vishnu is Vishnu, the meaning is that the worshipper worships it as it were Vishnu. In Sanskrit we say, Natu Pradimadishu Vishnumadi Buddhihi, nor is Tattvamasi to be taken metaphorically, as in the case of the sentence, you are a lion, Simhositvam. The reason is that the Upanishad teaches what the clay is to the clay pot, that Brahman is to the soul. Nor is the sentence, you Shvetaketu are Brahman, Tattvamasi, uttered to Shvetaketu by way of compliment or praise to Shvetaketu. Nor is it a compliment to Brahman to say that it is Shvetaketu. The reason is that to a king it is not a compliment to say that he is a servant. Further, it is to be remembered, reminds Shankara, that once the conviction I am Brahman arises, that conviction is never destroyed or cancelled. If a critic asks, how is it that ordinary man does not realize his essential oneness with Brahman, the answer, says Shankara, is since the ordinary man regards himself as the body-mind organism, he does not realize himself to be one with Brahman. Now we come to the mechanism of how Shankara derives the meaning of Tattvamasi, Ayamatma Brahma, Prajnanam Brahma, Sarvam Khalidam Brahma. How Shankara visualizes or realizes the meaning of the Mahavakya. For that we have to see the Lakshanavritti or Lakshyartha. The later Advaitins paid great attention to the interpretation of Tattvamasi dictum. The insistence of later Advaitins in general that Tattvamasi is not to be understood in a literal sense or Vakyartha or Mukhyartha, but in implied or secondary sense or Lakshyartha or a Lakshana, also shows that unconditional identity between man and God is not meant by Tattvamasi. Sureshwara maintains that Tattvamasi cannot be taken in the usual express meaning or Vachyartha. The reason is that the usual well-known meaning or Vachyartha of Tat is the omniscient, omnipotent Brahman, the cause of the world, and the usual well-known meaning of Tvam is the body, the psychophysical organism, as evident from the sentences such, you are stout, I am walking, etc. So tat and tvam cannot be taken literally. Now, what is a lakshana? According to the Sanskrit rhetoricians, the following are the three main types of meanings of a word or sentence can have. 1. Vachyartha or abhida, that is the literal or proper sense. Number 2. Vyangyartha or vyanjana, that is the suggested sense. And the third is the lakshyartha or lakshana, that is the implied sense or implication. Hence we are concerned only with the lakshyartha because the Advaitins maintain that tat tvamasi has to be understood in lakshyartha. Lakshyartha or lakshana has been defined by the authoritative work Kavya Prakasha as follows. When the literal meaning is incompatible with the rest of the sentence and either from the usage or from some other motive, another meaning is indicated in connection with the primary one, the meaning thus indicated or implied is called lakshana. So, in that sense, we have three types of lakshana. That is, one jahal lakshana, second ajahal lakshana, and the third is jahad ajahad lakshana or bhaga lakshana. It is in this sense of the third category, jahad ajahad lakshana or bhaga lakshana, we get the real sense, the churned, purified, refined sense of Tatvamasi. Now we come back to Tatvamasi. Since it is Jahad Ajahad Lakshana, we have to understand it as we understand the sentence Tatvamasi or Soyam Devadattaha. This is that Devadatta. This Devadatta, when I saw him last year, was lean and wearing a green shirt. But the same Devadatta whom I see now is stout and wearing a red shirt. But the accidental characters of Devadatta, such as leanness and green shirt or stoutness or red shirt, are abandoned and only Devadatta is retained in both cases. That is why we can identify that Devadatta with this Devadatta. This can be expressed algebraically in the following manner. This Devadatta is equal to that Devadatta. Now strike out this and that, which are the accidental and conflicting characters. Then we get Devadatta, Devadatta only. Similarly, in the sentence Tatvamasi, Tat stands for illimited consciousness, Brahman, while Tvam stands for the limited consciousness of the Jiva. Here consciousness that is pure and undivided, Chaitanyam Avishishtam, Akhandam, is common both to Brahman and the soul Jivatman. The distinguishing or conflicting elements are illimited and limited. So as we did above, strike out the illimited and limited from the sentence. Illimited consciousness, that is limited consciousness, then we get consciousness alone. So when the Jiva or man is declared to be identical, Brahman, this identity is on the part of the soul and on the basis of pure consciousness or spiritual beingness, Chaitanya. Now, thus in the case of both Tattvam Asi, Tat part and Tvam part of the usual meaning is left out and part is retained. This is Bhaga Lakshana or Jahada Jahad Lakshana. In the case of Tat, remoteness, Parakshatva, omniscience, etc. are left out, and the case of Tvam, egoism, lower self, is left out. Now, in this sense, we have the Mahavakyas getting more refined, perfect artha in the Advaita circle. Thank you.